Hello, I'm Doug, and this is the Taste and Sensibility channel. And today on Black Licorice Review number 26, we are taking a look at licorice flavored spirits. So we have here sambuca from Italy. We have here absinthe from I don't know where. We have ouzo from Greece. And we have Jagermeister from who knows where. Product of Germany. Should have known that, huh? So these two right here are basically infusions of anise into a neutral spirit. So this one's very plain and sweet. This one is a little more herbally and spicy. This is a mixture of wormwood and other botanicals, kind of like gin. Everyone's got their own recipe of 10 or 15 different things that they put in. But the wormwood part is bitter. The other flavors help cover it up, and it's got a very strong anise component. And it does help cover it up. It's kind of like anise helps cover up the bitter black licorice in candies and other foods. And then Jagermeister, I've got a small sample. It's dark. It's herbal, and the anise is a big component of that. So I threw that in at the last minute, sort of. So we will start in with sambuca. Lots of brands. Sambuca is the generic name for the liquor or liqueur. This is at 38% alcohol. It's not really a whiskey, it's not a gin, it's not a vodka, it's not any of those normal names. But it's a liqueur that can come at several strengths. And most of what I get is just anise and sweet. There may be other kinds that have more notes or more herbal components. But I think it's mostly licorice and sweet. So on the nose, I get that very typical anise thing, and it smells sweet. It smells like it's going to jump up and choke you with sweetness. So it's definitely the anise flavor that you get from star anise and anise oil. And several of my licorice packages smelled like this on opening. So I will give it a taste. Oh, there's a mintiness to it, which I think is part of the anise, but it's kind of an odd sensation. It's tingly, it's almost minty and whooshy, like a menthol whoosh from minty things. So it's not the alcohol, I don't think, and I don't know what it is. But the anise is strong, strong, strong. It's sweet. And I don't get a lot of other flavor notes. So that minty whoosh is a sensation that's part of it, but I'm not sure I can attach any kind of flavor to it. There might be other tiny, minor things in the background, but I certainly can't identify them or pull them apart. They're all tied into a knot. It's very subtle and light. So, anise and sweet is the main thing here. Now I'm going to do the other anise liqueur second. This is just in this order for aesthetics. This one's a little more spicy or herbally, or there's more that hits your nose before you even taste it. This is a product of Greece. There's lots of brands of ouzo. Ouzo's the more generic name. This is by Metaxa, Greek specialty liqueur. This one is 40% alcohol. So almost every ouzo you get is from Greece. Almost every sambuca you get is from Italy. Maybe they're protected names, so that the product has to come from there and no other place. So I poured a little shot of this, and on the nose you can tell right away it's a little more, it's got herbal things that have been infused, or maybe spices added to it. So the distillation process probably includes bags of herbs, or passing over a screen that's full of the herbal things that they want to include. Oh wow, yeah, something is green. It's the anise flavor, but it's not quite as forward as this. It's also not sweet. It's okay, it's not as sweet. There's some sweetness to it, but it doesn't poke out like this is almost syrupy. This is just a little background sweetness. And more herbal things pop out, like more like a gin. So it's not juniper, but it might be all the other things that are in gin besides juniper. So it's kind of sparkly and bright, green, herbal, sappy. Walk through some woods or a meadow or grass field and break a bunch of blades of grass or break twigs and snap leaves in half and things like that. And this is what you get from all those broken plant things. All those different smells and tastes. Yeah, the anise is more subdued. The other flavorings are more upfront. And they're much more blended together. So anise doesn't pop out the way it does in the sambuca. So the Greek ouzo is much more of a mixture. So either of these would make some real interesting cocktails. And people who like black licorice can just sip on it neat. Throw in an ice cube, make some other, one or two other flavors in there with it and make a nice cocktail. So I don't even know what they do with these, but I'm sure that they can make some tasty cocktails. And I'm sure that they can turn off people that don't like licorice. So I'm ready to move on to absinthe, which has an interesting and storied history that I won't go into now. But I think the basic idea is much the same as here. It's a lot of different herbals and botanicals, with the wormwood being the main thing. The last time I sampled this, I could tell there was a very bitter component, which I took to be the wormwood. And it had a strong anise component that I could tell they were using to try to cover up their wormwood. Then there's a few other things like a gin that you can tell there's other botanicals that are in there. So I just poured a little bit, so I'm not a big fan of that bitter thing. So this particular one is from the brand, it's the Lucid brand, and this is 62% ABV. So it's very potent liqueur. A lot of alcohol in there, and it carries lots of those flavor components because it's such a good solvent for all those oily plant things. Oh wow, lots of pleasant and unpleasant aromas here. Some are plant-like, some are more, I don't know, like an old boot, an old workshop, an old house with dusty wood things. A few plants in the backyard. A dying garden with some of it rotting maybe. It's an interesting mixture. Oh wow, it's much more aromatic on the palate. It's like lots of things are vaporizing and giving you lots of plant notes. Even stronger than a bright, sparkly gin. Yeah, there's bitterness in there at the center of it all. You can tell all these things are in there trying to distract you and hide the bitterness, but it almost works. I'm detecting a good kick of anise flavor in there. Maybe second or third or fourth ingredient on the list. Anise has a strong flavor compared to most of these other things. So it is very complex. And I tend to sip this neat. I did find a little ritual on the back here. And lots of places talk about this little thing. Pour 1¼ ounces of the Lucid absinthe into a glass, add a sugar cube, and mull it up and put in ice cold water. I'm going to do all this stuff, and I don't bother with that. Sometimes, let me do this little demonstration though. Every once in a while I do, this is strong stuff. So I often dilute it with water, take it down to 50, maybe 45% ABV, or I just throw in an ice cube. Now, I happen to have a small ice cube here, but it demonstrates that these liquors with high alcohol contents are dissolving lots of flavor compounds. And when you add a little more water to it, it's much poorer solvent. So it starts getting cloudy. So you can see this is getting a little bit cloudy. But that was just a demonstration and to lighten up the ABV here so I could drink it a little better. So when it's colder and more dilute, there's a little bit less flavor. I still taste all the green, herbally things. They still roll into my nose first before they hit my palate. And then the anise is subdued. So if you want to taste the anise, I would do this neat and not chilled. So I don't partake of this very much. I have a few friends that are curious about interesting liquors and liqueurs, so I keep it around for them. And it's a cool bottle, and it's very high strength. So it's definitely a licorice flavored spirit. And then the last thing we have here is Jagermeister 56 selected botanicals, it says. So there's all sorts of jokes about this stuff. But I took it seriously as a liqueur. It's a spirit with many flavors and many uses. And on the nose, it smells a little on the medicinal side to me. Yeah, if you stub your toe or cut yourself, you could rub this on there. Not a very promising aroma. And on the taste, it's got a sweetness, and then it's a complex mixture of many things. And it's just a big knot you can't untangle. So maybe that's its usefulness. It doesn't have a flavor. It doesn't taste nearly as medicine-y as it smells. So there's nothing particularly to recommend it. It's not a good taste. It's not a good aroma. It just makes things alcoholic. This is, wow, that's about 35% alcohol by volume. In the tiniest little print. Of course, I didn't get a very big bottle, but who wants to be stuck with a lot of this stuff? Sure, it has its uses and interesting cocktails. I don't know what they are, and I'm not a cocktail guy. So I will leave that for others. So I just wanted to do a little survey of how licorice flavors appear in spirits. And I hope I did that. So I just want to give you a reminder to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below, leave some questions, interact with me a little bit. And subscribe to the channel, and when you click that bell icon, you will get notified when new videos are released on Mondays and Thursdays. And we're only going to have a couple more licorice reviews here on this channel before we move on to something else. So I know we're going to do another candy, another kind of a review of licorice flavors and foods, and then Scotty Dogs at the end, and then we'll move on to fresh cheeses, which is a whole interesting story in itself. So stay tuned for all those things, and come back for more.